Hi everyone, welcome to the Solar Power Market Series. My name is Erez Dolev and I'm the Managing Director at Renvu. Today we're going to be hearing from Greg Smith, Technical Training Director at Tigo Energy, and he will tell us about Tigo TS4 Flex module level electronics with solutions for module level monitoring, which string inverters lack, optimization and rapid shutdown. Before we dive in and while we're waiting for more people to join in, I'll give a little background on Renvu and some of the products and services we offer. Renvu is a US-based solar equipment distributor. The company was founded in 2012 and has fulfillment centers in California, New Jersey, and Texas. We see the demand for Tigo spiking thanks for the growth in the energy storage market. Our leading energy storage solutions is SolarArc 12K inverter combined with a low voltage Fortress Power eVolt Max battery bank. We also carry several high voltage batteries and inverters like the Growatt inverters and battery banks and the Solis inverters combined with the BYD battery banks. For panels, we have on the shelf multiple options such as the Canadian Solar All Black 380 watt, Telsun 450, Hyundai 390s, Recom 380s, and more. We are sharing in the chat a link to our commercial price list, which includes pricing of solar panels. Also, it has a tab for ESS options and inverters with price comparison. This file is being updated constantly and can be a great resource for you. So save it and check it out when you need panels or inverters or when you just want to compare pricing or features. You can see here that we list not only the pricing, but also basic features of each solution. I'd like to show you the Blicky residential carport. This is a great way to expand existing solar systems or an alternative solution for where you can't install solar on a roof. This is a 2-car carport with option for 1 car or even cascaded carports with shared columns. So you can connect multiple of those when you need carport for more than 2 cars with shared columns. You don't need to install 2 and 2. It doesn't require heavy tools or to install it. Even the footing is designed to be only 2 feet deep. The kit arrives on 2 pallets and the installation process is quick. It comes galvanized and painted with the first layer of marine grade paint and paint for a second layer is supplied so you can apply it after you complete the installation to cover any blemishes that happen during the installation. This is a solar structure, so it's eligible for the extended 26% ITC. Accepts any panel or inverter. The carport is supplied with the iron ridge system and under panel clamps. When combined with a Blicky T-gasket, the surface become watertight. You can add decorative mesh to hide all the electronics below, and you can add also EV chargers. It has actually holes to accept the NLX juice box on it. It's designed and fabricated in Texas, USA, and comes with 25 years warranty. The structure is coming with a structural engineer P stamp. You can install up to 24 panels with a 4-column up of 6 panels up with basic load capacities of 35 pound per square foot of snow load, which can be upgraded up to 65 pound per square foot and 175 miles per hour wind load. And of course, seismic design category E. So it can be installed in areas like California and Hawaii. The 2-car carport is 18 feet wide and 18 feet deep with 9.5 feet clearance. And it comes with fixed 5 degrees tilt. You can find a 3D model on the Blicky website, which we will share a link to here. Okay. That's about Blicky. Let's go over the last part is online quote tool that we have on our website. Let's see. It's you can find it on our homepage, and it's very easy to go through and generate a formal quote in up to 2 minutes for any type of inverter, mounting type, and racking, and even energy storage, On the left side, you will see the bill of materials building up and prices changing as you change products. It's very interactive and easy. It's not designed for hours of design. It's just a few minutes with the basic questions that is required. And our team is actually using this when customers are asking for quotes. We're using the same tool to generate those quotes. So it gives you access without needing to wait for any sales engineer to get back to you. And you can compare products. If you change products, you see the prices changing on the left side. At the end of the process, you can generate a project and email the proposal. You will get into your mailbox that quote, and you can use it later to make the purchase or make changes. This is how it looks on the back end on your My Account area. Sorry. Okay. If you have any questions about these products or about Tigo while Greg is presenting, use the Q&A section and not the chat. And we will get to the questions at the end of the webinar during the Q&A session. If something I'll see that requires maybe Greg to expand on something that he's talking about, I'll bring it up. But we will try to go over all the questions at the end. You can also email our sales team at info@renvu.com for more information and pricing. As well, we do have recording of previous webinars on the Renvu YouTube channel, which we will link here. If you want to take a look at any of our past webinars offerings, one of them that I highly recommend is actually the energy storage webinar with Greg. We will share a link to that as well in the chat later on. This webinar is being recorded, and we will send you a link in a follow-up email. Let's see. Okay, we have many attendees today. It's a great turnout here. We can start the webinar. I'm going to hand it over to Greg. Stop sharing. Here you go.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you, Erez. Let's see if I can share my desktop here. Yeah, I love that tool that you guys have on your site. Like it makes things so much easier. And, you know, just to be able to have like a piece of paper that says, okay, this is what you need. Like, it's just, I don't know. Like I said, it makes it so much easier for everybody. So let's see, I'm going to share, sorry, I'm going to share a PowerPoint. There we go. There we go. Can everybody see that? Virtual thumbs up. Awesome. So, and you know, I'm glad that you went over all that preliminary stuff, Erez, because it jogged my memory on quite a few things. Yeah, and we're going to talk about the Tigo products. Matter of fact, I have one right here. This is our TS4O. Matter of fact, I've got 16 of these things in a box in my garage. And this is not a background. Like, this is my real garage here. Just because I get so loud and, you know, everybody's still working from home and school, and I just come out in the garage and just work for a little while. But the preliminary stuff, like you showed all the inverters and the solar inverter in general, I even talk about that in my book. And I just think it's so cool that they're the only inverter out there that overtly states they are resistant to EMP, right? Electromagnetic pulses, right? And it was just a question I always got in my storage classes, usually from the preppers. You know, they're like, hey, can this, you know, withstand an EMP blast? And I just thought it was interesting that there's one company out there that just like showcases that. Not an endorsement. I just think it's pretty cool. So, but we didn't come here to talk about storage today. Let's talk about Tigo. and what we offer and what we can do to help you based on what kind of application you're in. So just a little bit about us, in case you haven't heard of us. Tigo was founded way back in 2007, and in renewable energy years, that's a lot of dog years, yeah, for Tigo. We've been around a long time, based in Campbell, California, which is in Silicon Valley, right next to San Jose. I'm outside of Sacramento, and yeah, depending on traffic, it's about a 2 or 2.5 hour drive, maybe 3. And I do go out there a lot to make videos. So if you are familiar with Tigo and you're like, man, I wish we had more videos or something to show how these things go in, I got you covered. We have tons of installs, 7 continents around the world. You can see one down here in Antarctica, way up here north of Greenland. We're everywhere. And our monitoring system is, gathering over a gigawatt hour of daily production every day, right? And posting it on our portal. Tons of patents. We're leading the industry in a lot of technology areas. And man, we slap a patent on that as soon as we can. Yeah, and it's neat because some of the things that we have patents for are being used by other manufacturers and companies in the industry. So we're super stoked about that. So let's take a look just real quick. When you stick one of our products, and we have a couple of them, and we'll go over them here. When you put one of our products underneath the module, it essentially becomes this smart module, and you can increase your energy output. And I don't think I need to go too deeply on why that's a good thing. Yeah, you can, for larger systems like this here, this is the Cliff Bar. I don't know if you guys eat those. Super cool company, and just a neat backdrop for this picture. So whether you're doing this little residential system or this larger commercial, the operating expenses or OpEx, becomes more important as these systems get bigger. And lastly, everybody knows that Tigo is what we're usually the go-to for rapid shutdown compliance. This is what we're talking about when we say enhanced safety and compliance. This is a cool install here. This is in Israel, and Israel is blowing up with floating arrays. Okay, we were just talking about one this morning in the weekly meeting with all the sales engineers, the global meeting. There was a 19 megawatt system that's like in the works. It is floating. Like, it's crazy. If you would have asked me 5 years ago that we're going to be putting solar arrays floating on top of reservoirs like this, I'd have told you were crazy. And now that's where we are, right? So neat. So what we like to do is put one of our TS4s, and that's what the name of the product line is called, TS4s, under each module connected to it. And we'll get more into that here in a second, but they clip on real easy. And as soon as you do that, you essentially have a smart module. Okay, so you completely change the way that this module works, right? And so modules were commoditized years ago, right? When the solar coaster, went up and down again for the billionth time. And so now what we can do is put one of our products underneath it to gain a lot more visibility into what these things are doing. Okay, there's only so much that a string inverter can do to tell you what's going on with the system. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Our monitoring platform is the crown jewel of this whole system. And you can see here, this is a real screenshot that I took of the Cliff Bar system. Excuse me. And this is the actual module layout, right? And so you're able to get a lot of visibility into the system, okay? And so, and at the risk of stealing more of my thunder, my opinion has changed on this, okay? So I've been with Tigo since last May, okay? And before that, I was working for a company that did strictly batteries, and before that, I was with SMA doing inverters, right? And my perception has really changed on this module level electronic, the whole thing, right? you have to have something up there anyway to comply with rapid shutdown. And my kind of thought now is, if you have to have something up there, why not have something that gives you a lot more insight into what is going on with the system, instead of just this thing that when the first responders push a button, kind of drains out the array so you can comply with rapid shutdown. Like it's this one thing, right, that you're buying the TS4s for, even though we do all this other cool stuff. But we'll get more into that. And as I already alluded to, we can work at any scale, from a 16 module system like I have on my house, all the way up to a utility scale with multi megawatts of these things, right? And they do add different feature sets depending on which one of these TS4s you use. And you can see here, even I can see it on this little screen with my glasses on, that the TS4s have a different colored sticker on it. And that sticker represents a different product. So at a glance, even from far away, you can tell what this TS4's function is, yeah, with the yellow sticker. Now, we do have a lot of companies, a lot of inverter brands that we can work with, first of all. Okay, we can work with a lot of these things, and we can also work a lot of charge controllers, like most of them. And that's important because, people will, regardless of your stance on microinverters or string inverters, we can all agree that each one of those architectures has its place in this industry. There is plenty of room for everybody. And the cool thing that Tigo offers is, if you're a string inverter person, then we have a product for you. All right. So this is a quick wrap up, right? Just a quick overview. The TS4 O's, I don't say the A on there because we only really sell the -A- whatever it is. So I just leave that off for brevity's sake. But the O optimizes, monitors, and complies with rapid shutdown. So it is the Cadillac, right, of the TS4 product line. The S also provides that module level monitoring, and it also allows you to comply with rapid shutdown. You just don't get the optimization. And as you can already tell, once you start taking off these features, the price of each component as we move to the right comes down by just a little bit. I don't know how much these are. Please talk to Renvu to get the latest pricing. I'm pretty sure you'll find that there is a price difference. Yeah. And we finally get to the TS4F. And what we're not showing here is the TS4-2F, which I'm not sure if Renvu carries. We can talk about that later.
Yeah, we do carry the 2F, the single F, everything.
Perfect. So the 2F just allows you to connect two modules to one TS4. Yeah, that's really the only difference. Okay, so if all you want to do is, comply with that pesky rapid shutdown requirement, well, we got you covered. We got you covered with the F series. And we can talk about ROI and levelized cost of energy and all that. And there is enough peer-reviewed scientific documentation out there, right, to show that optimizers do increase your ROI. That's just not even something we have to really dig into anymore. But when we do our own research, we see, because like I said, we're collecting a gigawatt hours worth of information a day. We can see that at more than 25% of our sites get greater than 10% of what we call reclaimed energy. And that's a feature that we show on the portal. We actually show, as you go through the day, how much extra energy you're harvesting using the optimizer over just having that module all by itself. It's a fascinating thing for me, coming from the string inverter world and jumping into this module level universe is just, it fascinates me to no end. Yeah. Maybe we have a whole webinar where we can just geek out on that sometime. All right. So a lot of reclaimed energy from our products. And here's an example of it. So when you have a system, you can drill down on it. You can drill down by the day, the week, whatever. And we can show you right here. And on the dashboard of the system, your customers and you can see how much more energy you are grabbing from these modules. And that always translates to a cost savings, to extra money. Like that's just what that boils down to. And the platform is free. We do have a paid subscription that allows you a deeper level of access. And you can look at our website to compare and contrast the two different offerings. For the installers, there's a really cool fleet management aspect to it. So you're looking at one site and you can kind of see right here all these different sites. So you're not bouncing around. You've got all this monitoring and all this visibility all in one area. You just got to go down the left side, click which one you want to look at. And we also have a really neat app that we've been updating a lot with our energy intelligence platform, which we could talk about at a different time. But there's all these benefits, which most people are familiar with when you start breaking down the module level component of a system. Yeah, so we're able to see things that are going on with the modules. And I was a big opponent of this for a long time. I was like, man, how bad do modules go, right? Or how often do modules go bad, right? How often does a bypass diode? Let me tell you something. It happens more often than you think. And if you don't have module level monitoring, you'll never know, right? You'll never know. And people have really seen the benefit. Like I've talked them into getting our O series, which is this one, which has the optimization. And they're like, dude, yeah, you're totally right. Like after a couple of years, you can see each module, like you see the benefits of it. And you know, and there's studies that come out that, you know, the varying size of arrays, what the loss equates to, right? And of course, the bigger the system, the more the loss. But it just, it boils down to saving a truck roll because you have that we can help troubleshoot a system before you even go on site. Yeah, man, and I could go on forever, but let's keep going. This rapid shutdown thing is not just in the United States. Okay, it's starting to spread because people are becoming more aware of the benefits of keeping people safe when they come on site, when there's a structural fire with solar on the roof. Yeah, it just is. Okay, and it reduces the shock hazard with a single push of a button. All right. And here's some more of the floating arrays. So just incredible stuff, right? And what I want to point out is that we have two different communication devices depending on the group of our products you're using, and they're not interchangeable. Okay, so we have what we call a monitoring group, which is the TS4 OSM, and those require this little setup here, a tap, a CCA. We'll get more into that. And the fire safety uses something different, okay? And it's really important to know that distinction, okay? So let's talk about these two first, okay? The O and the S. It is an optimizer. It does help harvest more energy from the modules, okay? We support up to 700 watts, 15 amp per module, and that amperage rating is growing. We're working on some really big modules. I don't want to put anything out right now, so I don't want to like spoil it, and I don't want to get in trouble. But we do have some higher wattage and higher current rating devices or upgrades to these products coming out very soon. And selected deployment is something that only Tigo can do, which means you can mix and match the O's and the S's depending on what's going on with the array, right? So if you only have part of the array that's being shaded, well, then you can use the S's on all the other parts and then just use the O on the section that's being shaded. Right? Pretty cool. Now, there are some hard, fast rules that we have with selected deployment, and our sales engineers will be happy to go over that with you. All right, the S, virtually the same specs. It just doesn't do the optimization. So here's the TAP, the CCA or Cloud Connect Advanced, and our good old generic PV inverter. This is the communication group that we use with the TS4 O's and S's. Okay, these are the things we have to use. The CCA requires an external power supply, and that can be good old 120/240. If you're on a commercial site, then you could also use an available 277, and you'll just bring that in. The TAP talks to the CCA, or it's connected to the CCA with just an RS-45 cable. And the cool thing about the CCA is that you can connect like third-party instrumentation, right? So if you want to put your own CTs on there to monitor what's going on in the main, if you want to bring in some weather instrumentation like anemometers and thermometers and things like that, no problem. You can do that with Modbus connected directly to the CCA. Boink, boink, just like that. Now, the TAP communicates wirelessly with the TS4O and the S's. Okay, it's a wireless thing. So it is connected hardwired to the CCA, but the TAP is actually talking and gathering information from the TS4s wirelessly. All right, so this is what it looks like. And the CCA is usually mounted right next to the inverter. As you can tell, like there is no protection on that. So you'll have to mount that inside a NEMA 3R, NEMA 4, depending on where you live, in a really protective enclosure. The TAP is installed up here on the array, and it clips onto the module frame just like the TS4s do. And we do have a tool that will tell you where to place this TAP because it is wireless. Okay, so there's only so much range that this thing has. So we want to make sure, especially on large arrays, that you have the TAPs located in strategic areas so that all the TS4s are connected together in like this mesh, okay, this wireless mesh. All right, the F2 here. Here we go. There's the 2F. You can see it's got double the connectors. A little bit different on the specs. Okay, when we look, first of all, the TS4F connects to one module, the 2F connects to two. The TS4F has the same 700 watt, 15 amp per channel as the O and the S. The 2F connects to two modules. It is 1,000 watt rated, but that's 500 watts per channel, 15 amps per channel. Okay, if you want to replace channel with module, good to go. Okay, and you can mix and match the TS4F and 2F, but you cannot mix an F series with an O or an S. Cannot stress that enough.
Hey, Greg, I want to go back one slide just to talk about actually the MC4s. This is, MC4 compatible connectors is a huge thing, and most panels now come with compatible MC4 connectors. And there is one question here in the Q&A asking, can we connect any panel that is considered as MC4 compatible, or do you require to have the same connector?
Yeah, that is a great question. And the code dictates that. Okay, the code says these connectors have to be of the same type and they have to be tested together. Okay, so just because two connectors click doesn't mean that they're compatible. Okay, and we have a comprehensive list of modules that we are compatible with. But be careful, because I've seen a lot of these modules that say they have MC compatible connectors, but they're imposters. They are not tested. They're not UL listed. And it's not just us that you have to worry about. It's anybody else that you're connecting these modules to. Okay, so be very careful. And the module manufacturer should have a certification statement on their spec sheet that says who they're compatible with. Okay, that's a great question. Okay, in our industry, it's called intermatability, right? It's a long word, but basically it's the connectors don't match up. And that is the #1 cause of fires in our industry. I know nobody likes to talk about fires or thermal events, but it's important because these incompatible connectors and bad crimps are the #1 causes of fires. Okay, so people are using incompatible connectors and they're making crappy connections when they crimp their own connectors onto the wires. Okay, so be very, very careful of that. Great question. Thank you. All right, so we have for the what we call the fire safety group, we have the rapid shutdown device, which is the F or 2F. We have the initiator, which is what we call the RSS transmitter, rapid shutdown system transmitter. And you can see it's printed right on there. And this little thing is connected to a AC to DC power supply that Renvu will also include. And you can see it has this thing here, which is what we call a core. And I'll get into the operation and the functionality of this here in a second. And of course, you have the PV inverter. Now, the RSS transmitter can be included internally, integrated into some PV inverters. It's tested and listed for that. You can go to our website on the documents and downloads page, and you can see this list. And this is actually pretty cool to me, but I'm a solar geek, so take that for what it's worth. But regardless of if you have an integrated RSS transmitter or an external one, you will route the DC conductors, either the positive or the negative, through the core. Do not do both. Pick one conductor, pick one polarity, either red or black, and you run that polarity only through the core like we have here in the picture. And so the RSS transmitter generates this little heartbeat or keep alive signal. And the core induces that signal onto the DC line. And the signal runs through the home runs. It gets to the TS4F or 2F. And as long as the F or 2F sees that keep alive signal, then they will allow the DC voltage to pass from the module junction box here into the TS4 and out into the system. Okay, very, very clever way to do this. Okay, so as per code, you need an initiator. And so the initiator is basically a breaker or a switch, or like what I call a chicken switch button, one of those mushroom types. And NEC 69012D talks about the type of initiator that you can use. So whatever method you use, if you turn it off, that cuts power to the RSS transmitter. And when the power is cut, it stops generating the keep alive signal. And then all the TS4s go into rapid shutdown mode. And they do not allow any of that module voltage to pass through them. They cut it up right underneath the module. Super cool. All right. Now, all of the TS4s are very fast to install. You can see here, there's just some clips. All right. And these metal clips, they just kind of snap on to the module frame, right onto it. Now, if you're using those really sexy looking frameless modules, then that's okay. You can still use our product. You'll get a screwdriver and you'll just gently pry here and here, and these clips come off. And underneath the clips, there's a hole in each of these mounting ears so that you can mount this thing directly to the rail. Yeah, no problem. Yeah, 10 seconds. It's literally that easy. Now, there is an order of operation. If you're not familiar with the TS4Fs or the O or the S, because they all have the same requirement, okay? First, you snap it on to the module. There's also the rail option here. You can see the clips are removed. Then you're going to connect the module to the TS4 first. Those are the little short leads right here. You can see they end up right here, right? And we got the longer leads curled up. Okay, so connect the short leads first. Okay, so connect the TS4 to the module. I had that in red, but marketing's like, red just makes it too scary. Okay. But once you connect the module to the TS4, then you can start stringing the TS4s together like this. Okay, you have to do it this way. All right, now we have a lot of inverters. I alluded to this earlier. We have our own PV RSS list. This is a code requirement that says that inverter has been tested with this MLPE for rapid shutdown, and it works fine, lasts a long time. Okay, we have a list. We also have a Tigo Enhanced program, which is a separate listing, which you can get from our website, that shows the inverters that have the integrated RSS transmitter. That leaves you one less thing that you have to externally install. And it all works the same way. And I'm just going to touch on this because I don't think Renvu is offering this right now, but we just launched our own inverter and battery and automatic transfer switch. This is our energy intelligence line. So be on the lookout for it. It's going in already. Super neat and also fast and scalable and all those cool buzzwords that you're used to. So I don't know. Eris, maybe sometime we can do a webinar on this. Like, I love storage, and if you hadn't already told, if you can't tell, right? So all of these things are working together. It's all one platform, right? It's all us. So we still use the TS4s. We have our own hybrid inverter, 2 different powers. We have an EI battery that goes from 10 to 40 kilowatt hours, and then 2 different versions of the automatic transfer switch that have their own little feature sets built into it. Okay, and of course it all goes to the Tigo EI or Energy Intelligence platform. All right, so we got these things everywhere, even at the South Pole. Solar is booming. I don't think that's a surprise to anybody, right? I think that's why you're here. You understand this concept. And whether, you know, module level power electronics, whatever you want to call them, MLE, MLPE, they are becoming the standard. Okay, it's not even this, oh, do we need to do that now? That's just how it is. Okay, this is not 2010 anymore. This is where we're at in the industry. And so we would love for you to use the Tigo solution. Okay, we've been around a long time. We know what's going on. And we offer this kind of this broad product line, just depending on what you want to do and what your application is. And we can help you with that. We have a Tigo support site, and I really recommend that you use it. If you go in to the site, you can see how we have this super cool search bar. We have tons of articles. We have tons of information out there that allows you to really dig into these products. And this is another thing that we've revamped. Okay, I'm relatively new to Tigo. We have Josine, that is our knowledge management expert, and she is going through with a fine tooth comb through all these knowledge articles. She has a Google search engine integrated into this search box now, so you can find anything. It looks so much better. And something else that Josine was integral in is the Tigo community. So once you log in and you look up here, you can type or you can click here on community. And this is just a big forum. We have it kind of parsed out in different sections here. But once you get on the community, you can ask questions. And the Tigo people do follow the questions. But more importantly, somebody else in the community, another installer, right, your peer, can jump in and give you like insight into their experience. Really, really cool. Here are some members of our service team, sales engineering, and dude, we're here. Like, we are here to help you. If you have any questions, you can talk to our salespeople. If you start getting into these techie things, man, talk to our sales engineers. We'll be happy to help you. And if it's a training related question, man, I'll be happy to jump in a call or a Zoom or a team or whatever we have out there and just talk to you, right? Like real talk, like this is what happens. I love doing that. It's not a problem. And here are all the websites. I'm pretty sure that Eris is going to make this presentation available for download. And that way you have all of these links right here. Click on them, good to go. All right. Now let's get to my favorite part. Get into the Q&A.
Okay, that was, I mean, you're so energetic. It's so much fun to listen to those webinars. Never boring. Okay, we did get some questions. So first, let me remind everybody, if you want to ask more questions, use the Q&A and not the chat. It will be harder for us to manage. Just to let everybody know, this webinar is recorded, and we will send a copy to everybody after we edit it a little bit, and we'll send also the slide deck. Okay, so let's jump into the questions.
Yeah, I like this one from Doug. It's at the top of my list. He's saying, what is the best practice for testing TS4s before install? And that is a great question. We do offer an RSS detector. It's a separate little tool, and you can actually swipe over to see if you're getting the signal. Right? Now, I see here you have a follow-up to that where you install some TS4s, and depending on if it's an F or the monitoring group series, that you put your leads on there and you're getting 0 volts. Matter of fact, when I installed the 16 TS4Fs with my Sunny Boy 5000 that's on the other side of this wall, that exact thing happened to me. Okay, we plugged it in and there were 0 volts coming down. Okay, and the reason for that was because I didn't have the inverter set to that rapid shutdown mode. So SMA, when you get into their commissioning part, there's just something in the software that you had to flip over. And we called their tech support, and they were super fast with answering, and they gave us the exact and walked the installer through how to do that. And as soon as we flipped that switch over to this other rapid shutdown mode, bam, all the TS4Fs, they saw the keep alive signal from the integrated RSS transmitter, and then bam, we got full voltage, right? So that's something to look for when you're looking or when you're installing things. If you don't get voltage when you've made these connections, then that means the TS4s are in rapid shutdown mode. They're not getting the keep alive signal. Yeah, so that ends up being an inverter thing. But we don't want to say, well, it's not our issue, go talk to the inverter manufacturer. Okay, that's not what I'm saying. And we will help you regardless of what part of the system is giving you trouble. Yeah. So just take a look at that. That's probably the biggest advice that I have after being on all these sites. Okay. Let's see. Will the Tigo MC4 connectors work with the SA Solar 380 QC4 connectors? I don't know. I'd have to look at the SA Solar 380 spec sheet and see what the QC4, what that's about, right? Like, is it QC4 compatible? Is it a real 4? Like, I don't know. There's too much, for a specific application for that. Is there a specialist engineer available to help me design into my system? Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. If you need sales engineering experience, right? If you need somebody to help you with the design, especially if you have a complex design, like if you have a rooftop with weird geometries and you're like, man, how many taps do I need? Am I going to have to put one on this side and over there? Yes, please. You can send an email to training@tigoenergy.com. And I think we have a link to that on this previous page, but we will absolutely help you with that. Okay. So there's a lot of application questions here, right? And I like it. They're just hard to answer. Okay. And if you went to my training, my last Renvu training, you'll know what this answer is. Okay. The answer to almost any storage and solar question is it depends. Okay. So someone is asking, I want to use 35 TS4 O's and 1 tap on my home roof. Okay, so that's not really a question, but let's turn it into one. Can I use just 1 tap on my roof with 35 modules? I don't know. Like, we would have to look at that design, right? Depends on how complex the roof is. It depends how far the tap is from the last TS4. So again, that is an awesome sales engineering question. Okay. So someone asks about the, is the RSS transmitter not needed for certain inverters like SMA that already have it integrated? That's absolutely right. If you're using an inverter that's on the Tigo enhanced list, then you don't need an external RSS transmitter. You are good to go. Let's see. Oh, here's one. Do you have an example of the initiator switch that tells the RSST to kill the keep alive signal? And does Tigo offer a product? Okay, so 2-part question. I'll answer the first one first, or the second one first. Right. So with our EI solution, right, with our own battery and inverter, we do offer what I call a chicken switch, right? But it's just a plunger style switch, which is acceptable by code, right? If you go to NEC 690.12d, it tells you what switches or initiators are acceptable. Okay, so you can use either like a regular blade switch, you can use one of these plunger style, or it could even be a breaker. Okay, so it could be any of that. Okay, so, but the thing is, when you push that, the inverter and the RSS transmitter, if it's external, have to lose power at the same time. Okay, so there are literally tons of these things out there, of these initiators, right? If you just Google, what do I always do for that? Red push button. You'll see tons of them. Matter of fact, that's the kind of button I have on the other side of my wall here that I was using to kill my previous battery system. It's just an outdoor rated button. Yeah, super easy to find. Okay. Man, whoa. So many good questions. We do have a mobile app. If you go to whatever platform you have on your phone, if you go to that store, then look for Tigo EI app, and you can download it there. Yeah, man. Awesome stuff. Okay, so someone's asking, can you explain the difference between the outdoor CCA kit, which does include a power supply, and if the indoor kit includes the transformer on the cable? Okay, so I think I know what you're asking, Kelly. So the outdoor kit, and we have two different kinds. Okay, we have one for residential, which is 12240, and then we have another one that is 277. And the only difference between the two, whether it's indoor or outdoor, is that the outdoor kit has everything pre-installed on DIN rail. Okay, so you would just bring in one of the three voltages. Okay, if you are doing an indoor kit, then basically all you're getting is the RSS transmitter with the core connected, and not the CCA, the tap, and and that's it for those two, right? So when you say outdoor CCA kit, that has to have a power supply, right? And it's just an AC to DC power supply. Okay, and so that's really the only difference. Does it all come in one container or enclosure, or do you have to get your own enclosure and put it in there? But the transformer you're talking about is that DC to or AC to DC power supply. The CCA needs 12 volts. So does the RSS transmitter. It needs 12 volts. So, I mean, you could get whatever power supply you want as long as it falls in within specifications of either the CCA or the RSS transmitter. If you look on the spec sheet, it'll tell you which one you need. Okay. Oh, here's a good one here. Does the O series allow you to put one string on two different roof planes? Okay, so now we get down to best practice, right? So the short answer is yes. Okay, you can, with an optimizer, loop one string over onto the other side. Of course, you can do that. Is it recommended? I wouldn't recommend it, but you can do that. Okay, and depending on what string inverter you're using, it may just be better to split that one string on two different roof planes and to just use, multiple MPPTs or multiple terminals to do that. But that only works if you have enough modules on that one string after you split it to be able to hit all the milestones of the PV inverter, like PV start and keeping it inside the MPPT window, right? So as you guys can see, it's never an easy answer, right? Or there's always some type of follow-up to the answer. Yeah, so this is what our sales engineering team is just waiting and ready for. Does the TS4F work in off-grid systems with charge controllers? Absolutely. Can I use a TS4O? Ooh, there we go. Can I use the TS4O to manually shut off modules when the temperature falls below 0 in winter, as the VOC may exceed 90 volts, which is rated when I use high voltage modules? So I'm trying to, temperature falls below 0 and your open circuit voltage exceeds 90. Okay, so yeah, every application is different. Typically, I don't really pay much attention to open circuit voltage in the winter, right? Because you're usually not exceeding anything, but I don't know where you live, right? Since the TS4O uses the CCA, which can accept weather instrumentation, then all you would have to do is have an external temperature sensor connected to the CCA. You'll need the Modbus registers to whatever device that is that you're using, and you just take those registers, match it up with the CCA, so that you can tell that when it's an if-then. If the temperature is below 0 Celsius, then turn this off. Okay, so that's definitely a sales engineering question. All right, and there's another one about SMA talking to the TS4Os. I think I already have covered that in a lot of detail. Does Tigo work with Victron? Yes, it does. Matter of fact, our lead software guy is using Victron and TS4s on his off-grid system. Absolutely. Does the Tigo product offer options similar to Enphase IQ8? Yeah, microinverters and optimizers, two totally different things. Do we provide options? Sure. I don't really know what compatible options they are because I'm not familiar with the specific IQ8. I don't know. You have to do some spec sheet comparisons. Let's see. Wow, what module level information can be obtained from the O, like the current voltage, IV curve? Yeah, all of that. All of that. Can you elaborate on the monitoring system and customer support? You get a monitoring system for free when you buy the TS4s, O or S. We do have a paid version which allows you deeper level access. So go to our website for that. Elaborate on customer support. Yeah, man, we got it. We got it. We're ready and waiting. Part of my job when I came to Tigo was to train them, right? So they've gotten a lot better. They were already good. Now they're even better. Okay. The question regarding DC charging. Oh, okay. So now we're talking about batteries. Can the TS4 connect to an inverter, connect directly to charge batteries? Yeah, that is not our application. Okay. You do not connect the TS4 directly to a battery, right? You have to have either an inverter or a charge controller. And we don't really talk to either one of those, right? We are basically just connected to the module and we do our thing. We don't talk to the inverter. The only inverter or charge controller interaction that we have is for rapid shutdown. Tigo and Sprinter van roof mount panel. Yeah, absolutely, man. Go ahead, tear it up. Man, I'm seeing a lot of interesting application here. Yeah. All right. One more question I think we got time for. Let's see. Man, there's a lot of good stuff in here. Okay. So we'll do this one right here. Since the Tigo O is not listed on the SolarArc 12K enhanced list, that is true. The F is listed with the SolarArc 12K, but not the O. Okay, so let's see. What additional equipment do I need? I did purchase the CCA kit. Okay, so you will need, along with the CCA, you will need the tap, right? Because the tap connects to the CCA, hardwire, and the CCA is what tells the tap to broadcast the wireless signal so that the O's will stay on for normal operation. Yeah, good stuff.
Yeah. It was a nice list of questions here. I do want to go back just to talk about service, and people, 10 years ago or 5 years ago had experience with any manufacturer, a service line, and then they remember that as, this is the worst company in the world for service. But I have experience with Tigo, and I know that since Greg joined Tigo, things changed there as well. Do you want to talk about that for a second, just to
Yeah.
just
Yeah. Thanks, Eris. And I switched over to the chat box and saw that. And that's a legit question. I'm not even going to try to hide that, right? And I wasn't specifically trying to dodge that question. I just wasn't looking at it in the Q&A section. So someone said, hey, I tried to use Tigo service and they didn't pick up, and I don't know, like, why should I use Tigo now, right? That's a legit concern, right? And if that was your first or second or 10th experience, then, now, right now on this day and moving forward, like, I can't make excuses for what happened before I got here. I just know that it's gotten a lot better. And if that has been your experience with Tigo, then I apologize for that. And all I can tell you is, moving forward, just give us another chance. Yeah? When I went to the NAPSEP conference last year in Nashville, and people saw that I was with Tigo, they were like, oh, dang, dude, like, Tigo must be stepping it up, right? If they got Greg on board and he's training the service team. And that's not a pat on my back. That's just people in the industry know that I don't mess around. Okay. Like, it's all about the installers for me, right? Like, yeah, the homeowners, they're the ones that ultimately, want the product, but I'm totally focused, and Tigo is totally focused on installers. Okay. We want to build that relationship with you. And I know there's other companies out there where they put the homeowner, not the installer, first. And that's not the way it is here at Tigo. So, Eris, thank you for that lead in. And I'm glad to address, past service experiences that you've had. But like I said, all I can say now is that we're not like that. That's not the same company we are. Now, things, as in all companies, in all manufacturers, there are times of the year when things start picking up. Right now, service line's pretty slow. Yeah. For the United States, because it's cold and not a lot of installs are going in. But as soon as springtime hits, everybody's off and running again. So, and again, I'm not making excuses. I'm just giving you an explanation. Yeah.
sounds good. I think that I have personal experience during spring, and things are working awesome. Greg, thanks a lot for taking the time to go over all that. I enjoyed it. I'm sure that everybody else did. As I mentioned before, we recorded this webinar and we will share it with all the participants. We have several surprises also. We will give a discount on the TS4s for people that participated, and we will share also the slide deck. Again, thanks a lot, Greg. I enjoyed it.
Anytime. Thank you so much. And thank you, guys. Take care. We'll see you next time.
See you. Bye-bye.